In this video, we'll learn to recognize simple fractions of shape, like halves, quarters, and tenths. I'll start with halves. I've got a picture of a pizza here, which could be a real one as well. So what I have done is I've cut it into two halves. I folded the paper in half and I cut it. So both of these two are the same size. So I've got one half, another half, two halves. So one of these, this one, is a half. Both of them are halves. Notice how the spelling changes as well. So one half, two halves. One half, two halves. And one of them I show as 1 out of the 2. So 1 over 2. There are 2 possible. I'm taking just one of them. So 1 out of 2, that's read as a half, but also 1 out of 2. How can we find half of the shape? I've got a rectangle here. I could cut it in half by folding it first to be a bit more accurate. There we go. I've cut it into two halves. But I could have done something else. I could have cut it this way in half. So that's another rectangle that I've cut in half. And that's how it looks. That's still cut in half. So one of these is 1 over 2, 1 out of 2, a half. How can I cut a square into halves? That's one way. Or this is another way. Or I could cut it in half like this, because if I fold this, it's going to give me 2 equal shapes. A triangle, that's half of a triangle, and that's half of a heart shape. So halves are 1 out of the 2, so cut into 2 equal parts and you take one of them. We'll now look at a quarter. So again, I have a pizza which I've cut into 4 equal slices. So I've cut it in half first and then in half again. So one of these parts is a quarter. All of these together, they are quarters. So I've got 4 quarters in here. Here is a quarter, like quarter of an hour. So that is a quarter, 2 quarters, 3 quarters, 4 quarters. One of them I write as 1 out of the 4, because I had 4 in total, 4 equal parts, and I'm looking at 1. I'm taking 1. 1 out of 4. 1 out of 4. So how do I cut shapes into quarters? So I have this shape which I cut in half before. What I'm going to do is I'm going to fold it in half again, the other way around, lengthways. So that has been cut into 4 equal parts now. So one of these is a quarter, this is another quarter, this is another quarter, and that's another quarter. So I've got 4 quarters. And this square in half and then half again. So each and every one of these is a quarter. So this is how you split shapes into quarters. We'll now look at tens. Again, I have another pita which has been split into 10 equal parts, 10 equal slices. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 equal slices. One of them each of these slices is called the 10th. All of these are tenths. So 2 tenths, 3 tenths, 4 tenths. So 1/10 is written as 1 out of 10, like this, 1/10. So if I separate this, this is 1/10, or 1 out of 10. How do I find tenths of a shape? So we've got tenths of a circle in there, a rectangle. So I could do it in different ways. I could split it into 10 equal parts like this, or 10 equal rows like this, or I could split it like halfway through and then about. So if they were all equal slices or equal parts of the shape, it would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So one of these would be a tenth, or 1/10. A similar thing would happen with a square. So I'd need to cut it into equal parts, just like the rectangle. So I could go there we go, and I have 10 equal parts here as well. And this is how you recognize and you draw and you find tenths of shapes.